you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to talk about Sunkissed Mama and Jesssfam picking on these young teenage girls. I debated if I was going to do a video about this, but I really think that this needs to be talked about. And this is the epitome of go pick on someone your own size. This is absolutely bullying type behavior, and I think that it needs to be discussed. So if you're interested in hearing my thoughts, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so if you're not familiar with who Sunkissed Mama is, I haven't covered her in a video before because frankly I think she's boring, and this entire situation, oh my god, I cannot stand people. I just can't stand people picking on someone that's not their own size. And when I saw this, I immediately just had like flashbacks to Mean Girls in high school and how a lot of times it was girls that were older than me that would pick on me, and it's disgusting. So either way, Sunkissed Mama, her real name is Talia. She has 204,000 subscribers on YouTube, and she has associated herself very closely with Jesssfam, and Jesssfam is obnoxious in my personal opinion. I think that she is extremely immature. I think she is tacky and loud and annoying. So, you know, some people think that I'm quiet and annoying. I don't know. Who cares? But Sunkissed Mama uses Jesssfam in some of her titles in order to drive up views on her videos. And her channel, for having over 200,000 subscribers, her views are bad. And I know my views fluctuate too, so that's not me saying, oh, I'm here and she's there. I'm just letting you guys know that for a channel that size, and considering that she is a full-time YouTuber, I would expect the views to be more consistent, considering that she has this as her full-time role. And all the time in the world, considering, you know, I know that she's a mom and whatever, but all of her free time is building her social media presence. She does use emotions a lot to drive up views as well. So she got decent views on this video, Emotional Surprise. Emotional Surprise found at our new home. It has 47,000 views. But aside from that, her views are usually in between 9 and 20,000. So they kind of range. And again, I want to be really clear in this video, views are not everything, but when you're considering yourself to be a full-time YouTuber and you're being paid for sponsorships and you are an influencer, essentially, the engagement here is just very puzzling to me. So if you guys don't know who she is, I'm here to say, in my personal opinion, you're not missing anything by not watching her content. I'm sure most of you guys know who Jesssfam is. Well, these two mean girls were hanging out together and decided to go into a live stream that a fan page was having, discussing Jesssfam and Sunkissed Mama. I'm not going to watch the entire live, but this clip that I have from APOC is, I think it's around it's 9 minutes, 19 seconds. So we're going to listen to this and I'm going to give you guys my opinions throughout. Please keep in mind, for anyone who doesn't keep it in mind, these are literally teenage girls. These are teenage girls who at one point in time looked up to Sunkissed Mama and Jesssfam, and their face-to-face interaction here is so cringeworthy and just so wrong. In this situation, influencers love to always say how unbothered they are. Oh, they're haters. They just hate us. But then when something like this happens, when the adult decision would have been to ignore, disengage, and move on, they decided to, in my opinion, pick on these young girls, and it frankly pisses me off. So let's watch this and see what's going on here.
And so it's just so lame that you're sitting here in fan pages discussing information on my life that you guys just have no idea what you're talking about. Nothing.
Well, I have something to say really quick, if you don't mind me speaking. I personally,
And before we get too far into this video, I want to put my stance out there about fan pages. I know that they exist. I know that some of them are very popular and people enjoy running fan pages. They enjoy looking at fan pages. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with having a fan page. If that's what you want to do, we're all allowed to speak or post whatever it is that we want on social media, as long as it's not hurting anyone. One thing that it seems that a lot of people, this is missed on so many people, you can be a fan of someone and you can be a really big fan of someone, and that doesn't mean that you need to co-sign everything that they say and do. I am fans of a lot of people online. I would consider myself fond of what they say or how they create content or their thoughts and opinions. There is not one single person that I follow online or would consider myself a fan of that I agree with every single thing they say, do, post, write, and make opinions about. There is always at least one point in time where I completely disagree or I partially disagree, and I continue to support them. Now, I know that some people are a lot more, how can I say this, temperamental when it comes to hearing some opinion that they disagree with. And it's like, okay, you're canceled, you're trash, and I'm going to drag your name across the internet. I know that people like that exist. That's not how I operate, but that doesn't mean that other people don't operate that way. But when it comes to supporting people online, I love that we have different opinions. I love that people can look at things from a different seat and we can have a conversation about it. And you might have an opinion that's opposite of mine, but we can still be cordial with each other and it's all good. I don't quite understand where opinions became such a sensitive topic. Now, I understand if the opinions are, being racist or homophobic, trans, or just extraordinarily cruel or vile. That's completely different. But as far as being a fan of someone and having some different opinions, you can be a fan of me and have different opinions, and I can be a fan of you and look at things in a little bit of a different light. It's all good.
I do my research, as I've had family members who have passed from this and it wasn't their fault. And it's like very disappointing because it says in the CDC guidelines, which is a handbook for you to follow, that you're supposed to, once you travel,
I've lost 3 people to COVID. I know.
This girl that's speaking, she says, well, the CDC does have a handbook, and that is kind of something that we can go off of. No, it's not the law, but if you want to talk about some sort of guidelines or something, there actually is something. And I love how Jesssfam, it's like, Mean Girls are so funny because they really feed off one another, and a lot of times when you get one mean girl by themselves, they're completely different than they are if they're in a duo or a trio, because they really do feed off one another and they hype each other up and they get excited on how they can ruin this person's day or tear them down with words. And of course, Jesssfam is sitting here, I've lost people too. I've lost people too. She's talking about how she has lost family members because of, and Jesssfam takes this opportunity to, instead of sitting down to listen to what this young girl has to say, she interrupts and automatically makes it a competition. Nobody is competing to see how hard the panini hit you, or how many family members it took from you, or how many friends you know that lost their parents. Like, this is not a numbers game. This is not fun for anyone, and this is not a competition. And for Jesssfam to sit there and, she's very fiery anyway, so she automatically takes the opportunity to shut down this girl's story and make it about herself. Are we surprised? No.
Trust me, if anybody knows, we know, which is why we vaccinated, prevented ourselves to do as much as we can. And guess what? Taking precautions, vaccinating, wearing a mask, 100% preventable. I'm sorry, that is just how it is. That is why it's a worldwide pandemic, and you should.
But to be tested after you get back from a trip, whether you...
And then you have people in the comments, this really pisses me off, hyping up Jess and Talia, saying, get it, shut him down, go off on him. This is disgusting. If you are in a situation, and these other people who are hyping them up are most likely teens as well, if you see people being attacked when all they're doing is sharing an opinion that's not hurting anyone, and you hype up the person who is trying to shut them down, you are complacent. There is absolutely no reason why people should not be allowed to share their opinions as long as they're not being outright cruel, they're not bullying or harassing anyone, they're not doxing anyone. We should all be able to be in a space online where we can share opinions. We don't always have to agree. What is this where it's like, as soon as this person has a different opinion than you, it's game on, and like, you're canceled, you're a bitch. Like, can we at some point in time get rid of that, please? It drives me nuts.
Vaccinated or not is the protocol that is advised to follow, and it's genuinely what keeps people safer. I'm not saying that it's your guys' fault that you got COVID, but it's very disappointing to see that people are taking those precautions with less resources, that don't have as much resources, and not to see people that you idolize so much take those same precautions. And it's like, if you guys didn't realize that those were an option, like, that's one thing, but it's just
what we're doing so wrong. Like, if anything, we're the main of getting vaccinated, and
It's
it's
like sitting here preaching to people to get vaccinated, and you're mad at someone who's like literally agreeing with everything you're saying and happened to get it anyway.
And no, but saying though,
not energy towards people who are actually against it, not people who are actually for it.
Yeah, like, imagine we're spreading kindness instead of like what you guys are doing. It's just so lame. And you guys are supposed to be the main people supporting us, and instead.
So she wants to call this lame. Here's what I think is lame. Two adults sitting on a live stream on Instagram with these young girls that were just here to share their opinions. These girls were fans of these two women, and all that they were doing was trying to have a conversation. They weren't being, they weren't doing anything wrong. And I will stand on that until the end of time. I think that it is absolutely ruthless and cowardly for Talia and Jesssfam to crash this live like this and sit here and argue with these girls and gaslight them into trying to make them think that they were being mean or dragging them or they're haters. They weren't doing anything wrong. All that they were doing was having a conversation about it. And on the opposite side of this, when we want to talk about influencers influencing their fans and people that follow them, you can be an advocate to get vaccinated, and you can still be extremely tone deaf by traveling the world, not quarantining. Let's also go back to the beginning of the panini when a lot of the family vloggers were showing $2,000 grocery hauls and Target hauls for quarantine, and they had fans that didn't know how they were going to feed their family that night. This entire time, influencers have been extremely tone deaf regarding the panini as a whole. There's been kind of different subsets of how they've been tone deaf, but let's also talk about they want to be influencers until it's inconvenient. And this is something that I've seen for years. I want to be an influencer and I want to be, known so that I can get sponsorships, brand deals, free shit in the mail. But then when I get called out on some BS that I did, rightfully so, then I'm just a normal person. I'm just a mom. I'm just here to show you guys how I vacuum my floors. I'm just a nobody. but you want to be an influencer until it's inconvenient to you to be an influencer. And that's the bullshit of all of these women, and guys too. Doesn't just have to be women. Any influencer online using their influence as a convenience factor is not someone that I would spend an ounce of time or energy on. And this whole narrative that Talia is trying to spread about spreading hate and these girls are just like some kind of evil little girls that are trying to ruin lives, you know, that. Like, that is so ridiculous. Do not try to, you know, sit here and gaslight these teenagers who were fans of you. And just because they come out and have an opinion that is not absolutely honoring you and obsessing over everything that you say and do, now they're spreading hate. No, wrong.
Talks that are going off, those are people that have no idea who we are. Like, you guys are actual people that know, that follow us.
I have a quick comment to make. It's like, okay, we know that you guys are for vaccines, but just because we support you doesn't mean that we can't express disappointment. Just because
But what are you saying, though?
You're not expressing disappointment. You're literally screenshotting her message, her caption.
I don't care if these girls were screenshotting a caption or on a 6-hour live stream. These girls were not doing anything wrong. It's absolutely ridiculous that this is being tried to, they're trying to spin this in a way that makes it look like, oh, these girls were hating on us and they were doing really weird, creepy stuff. These girls weren't doing anything wrong. All that they were trying to do was share an opinion, point blank period. They weren't doing anything wrong, and that's what I will continue to stand on.
I didn't do this. I went on live a few days ago to express just like the disappointment, like not necessarily that you guys got, but just that like
That we're quarantining properly, that we're following CDC guidelines. Which one are you disappointed in?
And these two have made a mockery of the panini several different times. And it's not just them. I know it's a lot of other influencers as well, but don't try to put yourself up on this pedestal of being the best citizens when the evidence shows otherwise, and you've been extremely tone deaf and made a mockery of certain situations.
I'm disappointed that you guys didn't get tested before you saw each other, because
Fully vaccinated adults by CDC guidelines does not have to do that, though. So that's just
fully vaccinated, and before I see any of my family members after I've gone on trips tested, because I know that personally I want to keep everyone I know and love in the safest position possible.
Fully vaccinated,
I know.
which is
You have a road trip to one of your friends, I thought.
no, you on a road trip to see one of your friends?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What?
You guys don't know. You have no idea. So instead of taking this energy and just being so pressed about something, my whole point of here was to come on here and to let you guys know that I'm so sorry, but your information is wrong, and just to be kind to other people. And you guys said that I'm a public figure, which I'm actually just a person. I don't know what a public figure is. I'm literally a person
who's following the CDC guidelines.
Chloe
properly.
is literally wearing my merch. So she's like my biggest supporter, and out of nowhere, I'm just scrolling through.
Public figures, if you were just a normal person, most normal people don't have merch, but either way, moving on. The other issue here is, this is exactly what I was saying earlier. They want to be influencers until it's inconvenient. Then it's, I'm just a normal person, I'm just here to share my life. But you're not, because if you can be recognized when you go out to Target or go to Starbucks, you have a large enough following where you are recognizable. And if that's something that you want to deny, then fine, but you're showing how stupid you are by trying to deny the fact that you are a public figure. You are a public figure. If you weren't a public figure, or you didn't have a platform to stand on, then none of these brand deals and sponsorships would be going through
My stories, and she's going off about me in the moment.
I was never.
I have one thing to say. You guys are talking about spreading hatred and everything, But these are literal children that you're speaking to when you guys are, adults, and you guys could have been so much more kind about everything. When you are okay, and I find it funny it's about blocking and deleting, but you're the one who's feeding into this negative energy. If you would have wanted to solve this in the first place with the way you preach, you would have just blocked and deleted in the first place, instead of like going on and like talking to all these children. Like, you wouldn't have went on to Juliet's main account in the first place.
That's what it is. So we just have to shut up and be quiet and take all the hate. That's what everyone expects public figures to do, is just to
Nobody's saying shut up and take all the hate. First of all, in my opinion, based on the fact pattern that I know, there was no hate being given. So we're going back to the fact of influencers wanting to say that they're unbothered and they're just living their lives, and haters, they're just all jealous of me, and all this nonsense that they always want to say. We have these two grown women, Talia and Jess, speaking down to these teenage fans. If there was any time to pick your battles, this would have been the time to ignore, because they didn't do anything wrong. All that they had was the opinion that they were disappointed. That's it. Okay, I'm disappointed, I'm moving on. Like, why is this even something that is upsetting to Talia and Jess? This reaffirms my belief that influencers are incapable of taking any ounce of negative opinions or neutral opinions. If you are not praising them and worshiping the ground that they walk on, you are called a hater. And they want to say that they'll ignore the haters, but in actuality, they are obsessing over every little thing that they can, and they're speaking down to teenagers.
No, what I'm saying though, Jess, is that you constantly talk about in your videos and in your podcast that whenever you see the slight bit of thing that you think could be hate, you always say that you block and delete. So it's like, if you guys are saying that you do that, then why not do that in the first place? That when I block and delete, I'm the best.
Going into a whole different
Your
thing.
ideal outcome is I saw what I saw and just blocked and deleted all you guys. That's what you would want.
The fan page is followed and shared for years.
Like, she literally
loves Chloe. She's told me about Chloe. Like, she literally loves Chloe, and it was just sad, and she's just human, and that's just what this came down to. And then you're saying you're disappointed in
you guys said that we have friends in drinking water. Like, we are moms that our children are just sitting in a room for 10 days. Like, I don't know. It's lame. It's just lame. So I just wanted to come on here to say that we're not upset. Like, we just wish you guys could, if you're gonna have fan pages with our names and our,
you know what, I don't give a fuck if you're upset, because I am no longer a fan of you. You have shown your ass on this live. I'm gonna make sure that it's spread all over YouTube, and I'm out. Like, this is so stupid, and it's so cringeworthy that they would have even spent any time talking to these girls. Like, let them have their opinion. If they're disappointed and they don't like the way that you've handled things, allow that to be their opinion. Move on.
Pictures of our family plastered on it just to be kind. That's all.
I don't think you understand what this live was for. It was Chloe genuinely saying goodbye to the fan page because of the
find these lives, people are sending them to me and they're upset. They're like fan pages that are sending it, and they're
disagreeing with you guys.
What happened with my last live? And they think out.
People have the right to disagree with us, and that's fine. And you have the right to disagree with us, but to go on and say that you always block and delete, and then to just go on and taunt us in a way is just completely just so weird, because it's genuinely, we're children. It's you guys are adults, and I understand you're human and everything, but it's was it thinking back at it now, was it really the right choice to have responded to all of us and to have went onto Juliet's main account
and the whole thing about them having fan pages? Look, you're providing them with the content to put on their fan pages, so you can't say, oh, well, now that you're disappointed, you have to take my pictures off your fan page. You're the one that published those images to the internet. So hello, dumbass. Like, once the photos are out there, they're out there forever. Everyone should have gathered this by now. So to sit there and say, oh, well, you're not allowed to have my picture on your fan page anymore is just completely stupid.
Like, proper choice.
I responded and me. I was like, who, me? And Chloe's like, oh, no, not you. That's another fan. So I tried to come at it in a very respectable way. And then my sister was on your guys' live, and you guys are talking about me being unmasked at Disney. And on your fan page, this girl in this corner.
So this one comment on the live says, don't claim to be a fan if you're going to blast negativity, period. First of all, these girls were having a conversation sharing their disappointment and their opinions about public information on public figures. They weren't being rude. They weren't being, vile. This is the, kind of brainwashing that some of these influencers engage in with their fans. As soon as some of these fans see someone that even slightly disagrees with something that the influencer has done, people automatically claim that they are spreading hate and negativity. And I'm so sick and tired of this narrative. It's just, we've heard it for years. At this point, it's so redundant and so just like it's such a narrow-minded way of thinking. If you cannot look at someone and say, I like them, I respect them, I might not agree with every single thing that this person says or does, but I like them as a person. And as human beings, we all have a little bit of a different way of looking at certain situations, especially something like the panini, where none of us have ever been through something like what we're going through right now. And none of us are going to have the exact same way of thinking about every single little detail about the panini. And these young girls were sharing their opinions. They have every right to do so about public figures. They were not spreading hate. And it makes Jess and Talia, in my opinion, look like absolute clowns of the century to be picking on these teenage girls.
Posted her picture saying to go like her post. I go and look, she was just at Disney unmasked in multiple photos.
I took my mask off for pictures.
And she was outside.
And honey, you can do whatever
where I had my mask.
Now she's like, oh, honey. Yeah, the girl took her mask off to take a picture. That's very normal. I'm not going to play the rest of this because at a certain point they just go round and round in circles, and I feel like it's a big waste of time. I will link the entire video down below, so if you guys want to go watch the last third that I didn't show on my video, you're more than welcome to do that. But this, like I said, is the perfect example of pick on someone your own size. If you think about the content that has been made about Jesssfam, let's talk about all of the commentary channels that have made videos about her, including Josh from Dad Challenge Podcast. Why don't you go have a conversation with him and let him know how you really feel? Same for Sunkissed Mama. I know that he's talked about her as well. Why don't we have arguments as adults? And if you want to say that someone's being negative, why don't you actually focus your energy towards comments that could be taken as negative? These young girls weren't doing anything wrong. This was asinine and stupid. And in my opinion, I think they both look like bullies. So, to finish out my opinions about this entire cluster situation, I want to say that we have to get to a point as an internet society where we're allowed to like people that might not think every single thing that we think. I just feel like if we continue to fester and let this snowball, it's going to make the internet somewhere that is not enjoyable for anyone, and it's going to create more bullying, more harassment, more negativity for subscribers and creators alike. And I just wish that people could come to the realization that as long as people are sharing their opinions in a constructive way, they're not, you know, making personal digs or harassing, being anything like that, let's make the internet a little bit of a safer place to have differing opinions. Because if it continues on the path it's going, my God, I don't know where we're going to be a year or 2 or 3 years from now. It's going to just be the worst toxic cesspool that I've ever laid eyes on. So either way, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about these 2 adult women going into this live and doing what they did? I feel like it is just cringeworthy to the 100th degree. But either way, for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.